Good evening and welcome to the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance League United States Grand Prix, brought to you in partnership with GridFinder.com. I am Tim, back with my co-commentator as always, and we are at my home Grand Prix. How about that, Malc?
Hello, Tim. Hello. I'm doing very well, mate. I'm doing very well. We at your hometown Grand Prix this time, so this is going to be an absolute classic. How are you feeling tonight?
Well, I have seen a lot of this racetrack over the past week or so on TV, of course. The track itself is located quite a few hours away, and I'm not willing to drive to Texas just to see it. But, all the same, watching the Formula One race this past weekend, and now I'm going to be able to watch 28 laps of racing for the Invictus Racing League tonight. Needless to say, I'm starting to be able to know the track like the back of my hand.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's one of those iconic tracks where some parts of the tracks itself, it's absolutely perfect, but then there are times where you have to be at your very, very best. Like the DRS zones, you need to be spot on with the setups and well, seen as well. So Smokes, good evening to you, Smoke. How you doing, mate? It says 38 laps. Absolutely. So they'll be doing 38 laps. You're wondering why? They'll be doing 10 laps of the sprint, and then 28 laps, the 50% race of the feature race itself. I can't stop repeating it because it's just gobsmacked. Because we're coming up to pretty much near the end of the season. I know we've got about 6 races left, including this. So, do you think there'll be a few shocks like what we had last week?
Well, Malc, I'd say that the entire season has been a bit of a shocker, and if we go ahead and take a look at our point standings, that will tell you exactly why. Our defending champion of Smoke, starting out the season relatively well and very consistent, he has been able to score points in every race, but he finds himself in 5th place in the driver's standings, tied for 4th, actually, with Daryl Whiffen, so that's 130 points for them. On the top of the board is Melanade with 149 points, and then 141 points for Ginger Tiger in 2nd, then Russman in 3rd with 134. So the top 5 separated by just 19 points in the drivers. And then when we go to the constructors, well, it's a little bit closer when it comes to 1st and 2nd. Russman and Smoke driving for Race Ventura Wind Detectors, 264 points on the top spot, but following very closely behind, the Smooth Operators, Sab and Melanade, 261 points, so 3-point deficit there that they have to make up. And then neither Fast nor Furious, which is a huge paradox, Daryl Whiffen and Joe Hamster in 3rd with 246 points. So it's looking like about a 3-way battle for the constructors and potentially a 5-way battle for the drivers.
Absolutely, and this is what we love about the Performance League, Tim, because when you look at the table and you look at the constant of the allocations itself, it's been perfect, absolutely perfect. Yes, there's been a few question marks on some of the driving and all the other stuff as well. But however, this league, this is what we love about it. It's so close, it's so compact because one mistake and you could drop down to so many positions if you not be careful at all. And to be fair though, we might have one of the bestest finishes that we ever had in Invictus Racing League at the Performance League as well. So I'm excited for that, to be fair, this season, Tim.
Yeah, and Mac, one thing that I got to say about this league being so close is I think that we have to give credit where credit is due to the league admins and the points format that they have decided to give us here for the Performance League because, love it or hate it, the Formula One point system is how it is. Top 10 get points, and then the bottom half do not. It's just how it goes. But here in the Performance League, the admins have decided to do things a little bit differently to where as long as you finish, doesn't matter if it's 1st, 10th, 20th, as long as you actually finish, you score points. And that really does help keep the championship battles close because even a disastrous day is not completely null.
Absolutely, and like I said, like any as long as they finish in, this is for the feature race though, so the top, I think it's the top 6, top 8 in the sprint that will guarantee the points, but obviously it's the positions of what they're going to be going forward to the feature race itself. So it should be a classic wherever happens. But as you rightly said, in the feature race, we will have like all these drivers who, if they had a bad race, they're still guaranteed points as long as they don't have a DSQ or DNF. So, I mean, there have been times where they've been really lucky, and then if you're having a bad race, you need to make sure the others that you're competing against is having a bad day as well, and it's 50-50 all the time during the race itself. So you just never know what's going to happen. We've just got we're just waiting for. Sorry about this, guys. I'm just checking on the Discord. Basically, I think there's some technical issues with Simon Palmer trying to connect to the server. So yeah, so I do apologise, Tim. I'm just trying to find out what's happening from the game. So I do apologise, guys, if you are in the chat. I don't know if yeah.
Well, while we get this sorted, and not 100% sure if we'll have to go to a new lobby or not, we'll get you that information as soon as we have it ready and available. But, Malc, looking at the chat, it seems that Smoke is playing some games with us here. It says that there's a Malc drinking game going on, so I'm wondering what he's conjuring up for a Tim drinking game.
It's basically what happened yesterday. I kept saying itself, to be fair, and battles galore. So he's already got 3 lots of drinks to drink up on already, because I've said those 3 already. That's when I've been constant repeating itself. So should be a classic. Should be a classic tonight. So Smoke once hopefully will get his drinking sorted. ARL says hello lads, good to be back. Hopefully a good recovery drive tonight. So yeah, good to see you back, mate. Hope you have a good race tonight. Give it a spot. How you doing, mate? Hope you came well. Eros has missed out on many points last week, so looking to come back ain't over till it's over. Absolutely. So you just never know. Reigns, give it to you, mate. Good to see you back again, as always. Spud says he's just been kicked, and when he say he's just been kicked, not somewhere else, but like I say, he just got himself kicked from the lobby. So I'm guessing. I just want to double check with the guys from the chat, because we are technically having some technical faults with the lobby, so we do apologise. I'm hoping that we're not going to have any more.
This is when we need our elevator music or our karaoke nights or trivia shows or something now.
Oh, you want it, mate. You really want it, don't you? To be fair, with the karaoke.
I mean, you know, one of the Formula One team principals is married to a Spice Girl, so you know, I guess. What was the song? Something about what you really want. It's been years since I've heard it.
Well, I'm not singing it to you, mate. If you do, you have to pay me for that.
See, that's exactly what I'm trying to do, but I'm also trying to not pay you. So,
so tough on that one, to be fair. But yeah, I'm so sorry, guys, for anyone that's trying to find out what's happening. Unfortunately, we have just got some technical faults. I've been told that there will be no restart, so we are waiting on the grid for the guys to get themselves sorted. We've got a few drivers just coming back onto the technical areas of the garages itself, so hopefully they'll be back on. Well, I'm just going to say, if you like what you've seen so far, which I know all you've seen is a garage screen at the minute, so I do apologise for that. But yeah, if you want to see some live action racing, we will kick off in about a few minutes' time. Hopefully there'll be no more issues with the lobby. So yeah, if you like what you've seen so far, please make sure you like, subscribe to the Invictus Racing League on the YouTube channel as well for all the live race itself. We are aiming for at least 10 likes tonight, guys. We're aiming for at least 10 likes tonight. Will be a massive help to myself, Malc, and Tim, and also for Invictus Racing League on the YouTube channel. Make sure you like this stream, guys. Like this stream. Oh, I've had some more info, not from the lobby. I've had some more info about the weather crew, to be fair, Tim.
yeah, rain a little bit at the end, and I'm just going to say I commentated on a race yesterday at this track. It also had rain at the end, so I'm starting to think it's rigged.
It's rigged.
Yeah, it's rigged.
Yeah.
Not,
on
not,
your
not, not,
hometown.
not by Invictus, but by the game.
On your hometown Grand Prix as well, Tim. Absolutely. You saying this track is rigged. I cannot believe it at all. So Reed says, which race? It's an arrow saying it's the sprint. So we might have a little bit of rain at the end of the sprint. That's 10 laps. 10 laps of the sprint. That is mad. Oh, Mike! Mike! Good evening, mate. How you doing? This is good evening, boys. So the game is still in 2022. Again, I can't comment anything like that, but I will tell you later on, to be fair. But good to see you back, Mike. Good to see you back, as always. I hope you came well. I haven't heard from you for it feels like decades ago, to be fair. He says he just joined the stream. Spud says, I'm back in, but can't do setup. So I've noticed also, Tim, I don't know if you've had problems in the past where you got disconnected or lost communication with the car. You go back in, and apparently the tyres that you come back into the car are cold tyres, to be fair. So that's bad scenes, to be fair. Hopefully not too much. Looks like we're about to start, actually. I will catch up with the chat in a minute, guys. I will catch up with the chat, but there's no formation lap. So, Tim, I'll let you do the honours.
Yeah, and like Malc said, there is no formation lap for the sprint race or for the feature race. The sprint race determines the starting lineup for our feature. It's 10 laps in the sprint, 28 laps in the feature, but 10 laps starts right now. We are green, green, green for the sprint race for the United States Grand Prix. No expected pit stops during the sprint race, quite obviously. Just going to be pure racing for position as they go up into turn at number 1, almost 3 wide for a brief moment. It was 3 wide actually there for second, third place, and the Red Bull spins around. That is Sab. So Smoke now leads. Taking a look at O'Steven in the 11th position, trying to give chase to Melanie up there, but he has got an Aston Martin of Ginger Tiger right on his tail. Sir Spud looks like he's jostling around for position as well, and Melanie now moving up the pack, but who is that off the track? A Haas? Maybe. That is Russman.
Russman has just gone off, but also, sorry, I do apologise, it was Tinnis who's gone off at the track, so he's dropped himself all the way down to 18th. Sab had a bit of a moment at turn 1, so he's dropped himself all the way down to 17th. Now he's putting the pressure on. Oh, someone's made the move! Daryl's made the move. 2 to bed moment. We've got a 2 to bed moment now. Come on! We got the 2 to bed moment. Oh my god, we got a train going. Oh my days! Bobby. Oh my god, we've got a 3 wide situation. Looks like Simon Palmer trying to hold on the inside. And Speed Queen. Looks like Simon Palmer's made the move. Simon Palmer's made the move. The reserve driver comes himself back in. And Speed Queen! Come on! Come on! You want to make the move? Oh my days, Russman! Russman trying to make the move on the inside, round the outside itself. But it's so much contact moments. They just want to try and get past as quickly as possible, Tim.
Yeah, now joining the battle with Simon Palmer and Melanie and Daryl Whiffen, Russman as well. All of these drivers just really in a line here. Still lap 1, and they're fighting like it's last lap. Smoke has finally completed the first lap. He's about 0.8 of a second ahead of Nitro Gas, but you're watching the battle for about the 7th position or so on track. 2 Aston Martin side by side. That's Simon Palmer on the outside, actually, as Ginger Tiger is on the inside.
You've lost what the positions was at the moment, Tim. I promise you that, don't worry. Oh, Steven goes to the head of Matty. Looks like Russman and Darryl. Oh! Brilliant move there from Russman! Oh, the man with the plan. Trying to hold on. Matty goes back up to 10th. Oh, Steven drops down to 11th. ARL drops down to 14. Michael drops down. No! Michael actually drops down. No, Michael, no! Mad scenes, to be fair. Yellow flag set to 2. They've just died down a bit. So Spud has dropped down to 15. So Spud has dropped himself down to 15. What a mad start, Tim.
Yeah, mad start indeed. And actually, I'm going to have to go ahead and apologize to Russman. It might have been Sunboy that I saw in the Haas going off track. Or, like you said, it could have been Tennis, unless Russman just cut a curve a little bit, and that's what I was seeing. But it was such a chaotic start that I couldn't quite figure out what I was seeing. But my apologies to Russman if that was not you. All the same, he's running in 6th at the moment, doing fairly decent. So he seems to be happy with his place. But he's got Daryl Whiffen closing in on him, so he might want to think about looking out the mirror and figuring out what to do about that Alpine, because he seems pretty fast.
He seems pretty fast at the minute, but again, these two are battling out so much. But while you're watching that, Nitrogas is getting close onto Smoke for first place. And Nitrogas got the fastest up of the race. No, Kez has got himself fast up the race, 1:37.746. Now, Keza's been, he wants to try and improve, and then every time when he does well, something happens in the race, or something happens in the sprint. So he needs to stop doing that. He needs to try and get to the end. That's what he's trying to do. Someone made a comment earlier. Good evening to Stuart, how you doing, mate? He says, let's have a bear display from Nitro tonight, hey, man. Absolutely. And Nitro, to be fair, Nitro has been really unlucky. Same with some of the drivers, they've been really unlucky. Oh, Stephen dropped himself down to 14th, 15th. He's gone through the S's, and I don't know what's happened to him. He must have made a little bit of contacts at the back, so he's dropped himself all the way down to 16th, like a domino effect him.
Yeah, and just now taking a look at Nitro Gash giving chase to Smoke. Now, let's not forget about Keza there in the third spot. Not close enough for DRS, 1.5 seconds behind Nitro Gash, but if Keza's got some pace, he could theoretically catch up to the rear of these cars, and then we can have a three-way battle for what's essentially going to turn into the pole position, because, as you know, the sprint race does set our starting order for the feature race. It's going to be 28 laps of feature racing coming your way immediately following this 10-lap sprint race. If you're just joining us, welcome to the stream. This is the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance League, brought to you in partnership with GridFinder.com, and you are watching our defending champion of Smoke try to defend Nitro Gash, one of the grizzled veterans, I guess you could say, of this league.
The old veteran. Same as Spud as well. So Nitro's doing everything he can to try and get himself back into that normality of getting the top points as quickly as possible. While you was watching that, I was watching the battle between Speed Cream, Melonade, Rustman, and also Daryl. They were all getting close in, and possibly to the Tiger, the way that these are going at the minute, Melonade is not messing about. The softs should last 10 laps anyway. The softs should last 10 laps, but I noticed from the F3 League yesterday when I was commentating, the mediums drivers was pitting on lap 12, well, like 12 laps of the mediums, which was a bit too early than what I was expecting, to be fair. But they did go on to the hards afterwards, to be fair. But the hard mediums is the way forward, and Tinnis has got the fastest up of the race at the minute with 1:36. Tim.
So, Malc, you say that the soft tires should last about 10 laps, but notice they're in fourth place, Speed Queen 80 on the soft tires. So that means that she's probably going to make those tires last 20 laps, because she's very famous for that. As we've now got a battle for the lead, Nitro Gash was able to overtake Smoke going into the last corner. Smoke tried to get back underneath him, was not able to do so. Now he has to follow the Red Bull through. Thought this could have brought Keza a little bit closer to these guys, but Keza still staying about 1.7 seconds back.
Absolutely, Smoke needs to bounce back and try and put the pressure on Nitro Gash on those medium tires. And Speed Queen dropped her down to 5th. Melanie moves and stuff up to 4th. Simon Palmer and Joe Amster. Having a great battle. Michael has retired. From the inside the pits. So hopefully he'll start at the back of the grid in the feature race. It looks like yellow flag set to 1. So I'm not sure what's that going from, Tim.
Not sure what's going on there, but I thought Smoke was going to be able to have a run on Nitro Gash into turn number 1. Not really able to make anything of it. And turn number 1, you know, you got a nice long DRS zone heading up to turn number 1. You think that you're going to see a lot of overtakes there. But in the race that I was commentating on yesterday, the majority overtakes, which it is to be expected, happened on the second DRS zone on the racetrack. But it was such a majority that it almost seemed like nobody could overtake at all into turn number 1. I'm not sure if we're going to see the same out of these drivers today, but turn number 1 might not be as much of an opportunity as we're used to it in the past.
Absolutely. It just depends on whoever's bold and made that biggest move ever to get ahead in that position itself. Still watching the battle between Melonade, Speed Queen, Rustman, and Daryl. And, come on! It looks like Daryl's not messing about. He wants to make that move onto Rustman as quickly as possible. But yeah, there's so much battle. The 4-car battle, just like getting close. Keza, if he can try and catch up to Smoke, this will be opportunity for him to get a good position. But at the moment, Tim, it's just been mad. It's just been a mad race.
Yeah, it really has. And it's a sprint race, too, is the thing. So I want to know how these drivers are going to handle themselves during the feature. Now, granted, you do expect him to push a little bit harder in the sprint race because it's a little more than half the laps, less than what we're going to see in the feature. So there's a little bit more to gain. All the same, you got to think that they're using this as a practice session, and they're seeing how these top 3 cars or so have been able to break away. I wouldn't be surprised if you're going to see drivers around the 5th, 6th position, if they're able to make a few moves on the start, really push hard to try to stick with those top 3.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what you need. You need to push on as quickly as possible. Darrell's going to suffer 3-second time penalty. First driver to have the penalty in this evening's Realistic Performance League. So not good news for Darrell. He'll drop himself down a few positions the way it looks at the minute. Smoke is trying to catch up to Nigel Gash, but cannot do anything about it at the minute. IRL commented saying he had wing and floor damage, so he's dropped himself all the way down to 16. Oh! Darrell trying to make the move on the inside. Russman holding on for dear life. He's got no ERS. Russman has got no ERS. Darrell has got at least 30%, so he could attack at any moment. But Speed Creed is the same with Darrell, about 20 to 30% of that ERS. But Russman needs to start saving, otherwise he's going to get caught up with Darrell.
Yeah, those soft tires are really not doing Speed Queen 80 any favors right now in that Williams car. She's doing a good job at holding off Russman, but I think it's only a matter of time before Russman and Daryl Whiffen both are able to overtake her. I mean, I understand the thought process of putting the soft tires on for a very short sprint, but as we've said almost every week now, Malc, those soft tires are not worth what they used to.
They're not, but it just gives you another opportunity to get some quick times itself. Yes, it's at the risk of a tyre wear, but they've got to do something different to what the others are going to be doing, because you want to beat your other competitors, so you need to do something a little bit different with the strategy itself. Simon Palmer's got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Looks like Speed Queen is struggling. Oh, Russman nearly made the move. He's going to wait. Oh my days, he went for the inside line and he made the move. And Speed Queen from one corner lost at least 2 positions. Darrell has got himself back up to 5th. Russman drops down to 6th. Speed Queen needs to put the pressure on massively. But again, she didn't have the DRS, so the pressure will be on her for now. But Jin Tiger is also closing in, Tim.
And it looked to me like Speed Queen 80 actually let Russman go by, knowing that he is quicker than her, but I was also theorizing that maybe she was trying to lay back and get behind Russman so that she could get the DRS, but obviously, as we saw, she was a little bit late for that and was unable to get the DRS. All the same, she's sticking fairly close to Russman, but we are seeing a big disadvantage on those soft tires now.
Yeah, because I think the tyres should be going at this point, because the track, it's not as bad as some of the other tracks like the Spanish Grand Prix, like the Barcelona, the Catalonia track. It just depends on these guys can try and put the pressure on. The clouds are looking a little bit darker, but we have been told there might be a bit of rain at the end of the sprint. And the way it looks at the minute, I can't see that happening. I think they're just playing bluff, shall we say, the weather at the minute. Joe Amster, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, Tim.
Well, Malc, you know what they say about the weather in the south. If you don't like it, just wait 5 minutes.
Oof. Oh, okay, we have to wait 5 minutes for the weather to kick in.
We don't have 5 minutes in the sprint.
I know, but these guys, I bet some of them really need the weather to be changed quickly or something to help them out. But hopefully we'll try and see how everything plans out. But Saab, who had a bit of an unfortunate spin at turn 1, I think he might have caught with some of the drivers itself. So he drops it down to, he was dropped down all the way down to near the back of the grid, but he's slowly pulling himself back up to 12th. But yeah, there's some battles galore. It looks like Saab trying to put the pressure on Spud. He can't make the move. He can't make the move on the DRS, Tim.
Yeah, and still we're watching Speed Queen 80 holding off Ginger Tiger and doing a good job here. Meanwhile, Nitro Gash does lead over Smoke. Keza still holding on to the third spot, a little bit closer this time, 1.2 seconds behind Smoke, but no DRS up there. And I think at this point, Smoke and Keza are just content with riding around knowing that the bigger picture is the feature race. Speed Queen 80, of course, just trying to hang on for whatever she can get. You know, remember that this does set the field for our feature race. So Speed Queen 80 finishes in 7th. She gets to start in 7th. And I don't think I have to explain why starting up higher in the grid is a good thing. All the same, Speed Queen 80 definitely does need a good race here. She was a championship contender last season. Up to the final race, had a chance to walk away with that championship. Came up a little bit short this season.
Yeah.
She finds herself, as I look down the standings, in P11. So a big difference from last season. No longer chasing a championship, but there's still podiums and wins up for grabs.
Absolutely, and you can't afford to make mistakes. That's the problem. You need to be consistent, and that's what you need to be. But then again, it's been really unlucky with some of the consistency as well. It's like, not just the consistency, sorry, it's just more about drivers who have been really unlucky this season where they've been in contact with other drivers' mistakes. It could all happen. It could all happen in F1 at the moment. Nigel Gash is really doing well. This is the best race that he has been for a very long time, to be fair. And this is the old Nigel Gash that we would love to see as well. We're just reading some of the comments. Rain says, Russell's pace is not bad. Speed Queen made a bad choice with the tyres. I'm going to predict either of them for a win or a podium. I think that was earlier on. Stuart says, Nitro much better. He is. He's doing much better at the minute. Keza could snatch second, depending on how Smokey does at the minute. And Rain says, feature race will be something to watch too.
Yeah, and I've actually been watching the battle between Smoke and Keza. Keza really kicked it into high gear here. We are on the last lap. Smoke 1.3 seconds behind Nitro Gash with a very small, albeit still alive, chance to catch Nitro Gash and pass him. And I'm almost thinking that Smoke might have been saving his battery, and he's going to try to make one final charge. You see him closing that gap. He's not close enough, though, for that DRS, unfortunately. So I think that any chance he has of taking the pole has pretty much went out the window this time. All the same, if he can hang on and keep Keza behind him, P2 starting spot is still a front row spot on the grid. Nitro Gash, though, like you're saying, a good run in the sprint. It's not the sprint that counts, though. It is the feature race, but he has taken a huge step in the right direction, starting off this event on a high note.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Ginger Tiger. Oh my days, Ginger Tiger has made the move on to Speed Queen in 7th place. So Speed Queen drops down to 8th. The tyre wear is really dividends now. And looks like the top 3. I'll come up to the final few corners, Tim.
And Nitro Gash, he is going to be your pole sitter, rounding the final corner now. Congratulations to Nitro Gash on winning the sprint race. Can he turn it into a feature win? Smoke in P2, Keza P3, and then Melanie, Daryl Whiffen at your top 5. But will Daryl Whiffen be able to hang on to that 5th spot? Likely not. He has got a time penalty, so Russman should be jumping up to the 5th spot.
Yeah, so Mad seems to be, Russman has moved up to 5th. Well done, Tim. Well done. Daryl jumps on the 6th. Tiger 7th. Speed Queen 8th. Joe Amster in 9th. Simon Palmer with that penalty and will drop down a few positions at least. So Saab will finish off in 10th. As things stand, Simon Palmer did drop himself down to 12th. Sunboy, where is he? Is he at the moment? He's dropped down to 13th. Tinnis 14th. Where's Matt? We haven't mentioned about Matt. Oh, Matty's lost communication with his car. So he's in 15th place. IRL in 16th. He had a wing and floor damage as well. Oh, Stephen, who had a torrid time in the F3 race last night in the car. He's still having issues with the medium traction, as always. Reed says that was meant for the feature race. Oh, sorry about that, mate. You know when I said Russman's pace is not bad, Speed Queen made a bad choice with the tyres. He says he was going to predict in the feature race either of them for a win or a podium. So I know Stephen has lost the back end again. He's trying to get himself back onto the track itself. Just a little bit of donuts there, but it's just because his back end, yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah. I see him
Sorry,
spinning
Tim.
around now. And you know, I think what you were about to explain, Malc, I'm the one that interrupted you this time, but it's because, you know, you spin around, you get a lot of heat built up in the tires and a lot of pressure, and then it stays there. And you just cannot find the right amount of grip through the corner because the rears are so heated up and the pressures are high.
Yeah, absolutely, and yeah, the stakes are high, but it's just you just can't afford to make a mistake at all. And unfortunately for O'Steven, he's needs to step up a gear if he wants to try and get some decent points tonight. But yeah, pressure's on. But Tim, I'll let you do the sprint classification.
And your official starting lineup for the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance League United States Grand Prix. It's going to be Nitro Gash on the pole with Smoke in second, Keza in third, Melanade in fourth, Russman in fifth, Daryl Whiffen in sixth, seventh is Ginger Tiger, Speed Queen 80 in eighth, ninth is Joe Hamster, Sab in 10th, 11th is Sir Spud, Simon Palmer in 12th, 13th is Sunboy, 14th Tennis, Maddie in 15th, 16th is ARL O'Steven in 17th, and 18th is Michael Luke. Now, Malc, top three predictions in any order. What do you got?
Nigel Gash, Russman, and Smoke. Yeah, Nigel Gash, Russman, and Smoke.
All
Any
right.
order.
Well, I'm going to go with Nitro Gash, Smoke, and Daryl Whiffen.
Oh, okay. That'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to find out at the minute. But hopefully those predictions will not affect the drivers. Hopefully not. We the commentators curse. Hopefully not. Good evening to Captain. How you doing, mate? It's a good fight back, Sab. Yeah. If you just joined in late, he had an unfortunate start at the start when he had the spin, and yeah, he did well to get himself back up to through the pack into 10th. So good, should be good to see how Saab can try and get through in that Red Bull car to get through some of the positions itself. But we are just waiting for the drivers to get themselves set up and ready to go for the feature race, the 28 lap race itself. And I believe that there's more info on the weather because we're going to have a dry race, Tim.
Well, that is definitely good. I was not looking forward to a wet race because I'm very interested to see what kind of tire strategies we're going to see. Of course, you were saying, Malc, that you were going to be seeing medium to hard strategies, but it does seem to me like, you know, two-stop strategies can definitely happen here. I know we saw it for a fact in the real-life United States Grand Prix just this past weekend, to where the majority of the drivers were going on to a two-stop strategy. I think Kevin Magnussen was the only driver to make a one-stop work, so could very well see a two-stop strategy from these drivers today. But if you were out there on the grid and you were getting ready and you were setting your strategy right now, what would you be choosing? What tire do you start on? What tire do you finish on?
So I've had a tip. Basically, if you go from hards to mediums, that is the quicker strategy compared to the medium hards way, and you'll know why in a bit. So each race will, well, this race at least will be a one-stop, depending on the safety car. Yes, the hard tyres is going to screw over if the safety car comes in really early, but it is hard to mediums is the way forward, and that's what I would have gone for anyway. Even if I was starting in the top half or the bottom half, that's where I would have done it anyway. But it just depends on luck and be lucky with the positions itself, Tim.
So what scenario, if any, do you see a driver choosing soft tires? Because we saw very few of them choose it in the sprint race, and we've seen that they're really not that viable of an option, not to mention they don't last very long around here. So what scenario, besides a safety car with 4 to go, do you see drivers choosing the softs?
If no safety car, it just depends on if they've got wing damage or any issues with their car. If there is a safety car, it'll probably be just near the end. That's the only way to get forward. If they want to get the fastest lap, they need to get that sorted as well. So, yeah, that's the two ways I would have gone for. But I wouldn't start them because you would have to pit really early anyway. But so, Tim, we're about to start. No formation lap again. So I'll let you do the honours as each and every single week.
And an honor it is each and every week. Malc, the drivers have already found their appropriate positions on the grid, and we are just about ready to go for 28 laps of racing around the Circuit of the Americas. You hear those engine driving, you hear those itchy pedal feet, except it's very quiet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights in the air. No red lights. We are green for the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance League United States Grand Prix. 3 wide for second, 3 wide for first now, almost. But look at the Alfa Romeo backing out of it. Alpha Tauri, though, side by side. That is Smoke and Melonade side by side for second. Some contact between Smoke and Keza, but they keep it clean. We stay green. Nitro Gash pulling away half a second lead now over Melonade, your points leader coming into this race.
Absolutely. It looks like there was a battle. I'm trying to see who that is. That is Russman and Darrell. Again, them two cannot keep their paces off each other anyway, so they just can't keep, they keep paces off each other as well. But yeah, Russman trying to put the pressure on Darrell for a 5th place, and they can't do anything about it. Nitro Gash Melonade, and IRL Maxi, they both handled on the medium to hard, which is, yes, it is one way to go through from medium to hard, but it will be slow at the end of those hards. And you have to manage it really well. It looks like one of the Red Balls of Saab. Saab moves up from 10th to 7th. So that's a good start for Saab.
Oh, and Malc, we just had some contact. Ginger Tiger spinning around. Oh, and we have got more carnage. Both Aston Martins around, and it was a Mercedes involved as well, maybe a Ferrari. And you know what? Let's throw in a partridge in a pear tree. Now, to explain to you exactly how that happened, it looked to me as though Ginger Tiger, one of the Aston Martins for sure, that I believe was Ginger Tiger, just went into that corner with a little bit too much speed, accidentally got into the back of the other Aston Martin, spun them around, and then it was a chain reaction from there.
Yeah, and this is the problem that we've had this season. Everyone's eager at the first few laps. You cannot win a race at the first lap or the first corner, but you could lose it so massively on all these positions. And these guys have got to be careful. They've got to be careful. Otherwise, they're just not going to improve a lot. So there'll be a few question marks on the driving again. And also we'll be at the steward's office for some of the drivers itself, Tim.
Yeah, and you know, I really do see both sides of it, to where I understand you do have to push a little bit at the start, because is going to be your most realistic opportunity to make up these positions. But, you know, like you're saying, there has got to be give and take, and there's got to be a balance. And actually, as I take a look at the chat here, Reen says that he thinks that it was Ginger Tiger that was ahead and not Simon Palmer. So if that is the case, my apologies, and thanks for the correction. All the same, 2 Aston Martins coming together at the end of the straightaway did not end very well.
Yeah, well, again, the stewards will have to look at that in more depth. More depth. I couldn't say the words, not depth, but depth. I couldn't say the words there. So, Joe Amster's getting close to Speed Queen in 8th place, and cannot do anything about it in a minute. Looks like Matty on those medium tyres is really eager. Joe Amster's just got nearly at the wheel ahead at the back of Speed Queen, but cannot do anything about it in a minute. But Joe Amster will need to push as well. Yellow flags at the 3. Yellow flags at the 3. I believe that is to Spud. So Spud has spun at the long right-hander. Everyone's been struggling with the back end of the cars, not only from the F3 yesterday, but also in today's racing, Tim.
And you know, I wish I could tell you an answer for that, Malc. And one thing that I was going to ask you, if I could have, gotten the words out, of course, is do you think that the drivers are just struggling with the new car? Because this is the first season that we have ran this new car with these new regulations. So is it possible that the drivers are still relying a little bit on old habits?
Maybe. Maybe not. But this is 9 races already. So they should know by now that the car needs to get a good setup. Otherwise, you're just going to lose the back end. And look what happened to Stephen earlier on. And as soon as you go off track or cannot control the car, that is it. You need to master that car as quickly as possible. And yeah, if they don't do it, they'll just struggle massively. Matty trying to close the gap, but we will have a DRS train. Also, Jones is trying to put the pressure on Speed Queen. Can Joe make the move? He's on around the outside. Speed Queen trying to keep on the inside line, but Jones is going to try and go on the inside line. Oh my days! Brilliant racing! Oh, brilliant! Brilliant racing! Can Speed Queen bounce back? But look at Matty. Where did Matty come from? Out of nowhere. It's like a magician's act. Just popped out of nowhere, to be fair. Tim.
Gotta call him the closer, Matty, making a move into P9, but now look at this Sunboy trying to get around Speed Queen 80. And one thing I'll say, Malc, through that section of the race course where you saw Speed Queen lose 2 positions there, there's about 3 different lines that you can take around that corner, and all 3 of those cars took those 3 different lines. It was quite impressive. Unfortunately for Speed Queen, she got the short end of the stick, but trying to go back on the offensive here to get back by Maddie. Now, Malc, you were saying about the tires that the hard to medium strategy seems to be the quickest way forward. Well, Speed Queen 80 is starting on those hard tires versus Maddie on the medium, so maybe she's got some advantage leaning her way.
Yeah, but remember that it just all depends on the car allocation itself. Because remember, Speed Queen's on the Williams, Matty is on the AlphaTauri as well. So there is a little, I can say not much, a little bit of a difference with the car performance. But it just all depends on how these guys can capitalise with their. So Rain says, no, my prediction. So yeah, prediction, that was, Reed says he went for Smoke, Speed Queen and Daryl. So yeah, unbelievable stuff, Tim.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about car performance, Malc, for those of you watching that may be new and are not familiar with the way that the Performance League works, is these cars actually mimic the real-life performance. So, the Mercedes, the Red Bulls, the Ferraris, those are going to be the fast cars. The Williams, AlphaTauris, Haas, those are the slow cars. And the way that these drivers choose their cars is the admins actually choose for them. The faster drivers are put in the slower cars, the slower drivers in the faster cars, and the allocations are looked at every week and changes made as appropriate. So that's just to keep the competition level nice and fair. So while most esports leagues you're going to find an equal performance across the board, this is very much a realistic performance, and with it comes different characteristics on how these cars handle.
Absolutely, and that's what we love about it, because a driver from F3 could beat a driver that's in F1 depending on the car allocation itself. So this is what we love about it, because everyone wants to make it as fair as possible, but also make it as realistic. Ironically, the realistic Performance League itself. So, and it's paid out dividends, because you got drivers who are competing and in a close battle for the drivers and also for the constructors. So this is what we love about it. This is what we love about Invictus Racing League, and the reason why you need to love about Invictus Racing League, because this is why you need to make sure that you like and subscribe, guys. If you like what you've seen so far, please make sure you like and subscribe and follow Invictus Racing League on the YouTube channel as well. We're aiming for at least 10 likes tonight, guys. We're aiming for at least 10 likes. Will be a massive help to myself, Malc, and Tim on the commentators box, as well as Invictus Racing League on the YouTube channel. But also, like this stream, guys. Thank you so much, Tim.
And still watching this battle between Maddie and Joe Hamster. Maddie not really closing in and making up any ground. Speed Queen 80 starting to close in a little bit on Maddie, so maybe now is where we're starting to see the hard tires get a little bit more of an advantage in performance, but still, with just 5 laps on these tires, we're not going to see a big difference quite yet, unless, of course, one of the drivers were on soft tires, but no one was that brave this time.
Oh, would you have gone for it? Would you have gone the gamble? No, that was a straight answer. That was a straight answer on your hometown Grand Prix as well, Tim. Unbelievable stuff. But yeah, I mean, from the F3 race yesterday, drivers that had the medium tyre start pitted on lap 12 when they stopped from the start. So with performance, you never know what's going to happen. So it could be different. It could be that they try and pit a little bit earlier to try and do the undercut. The undercut worked out dividends for Epic Pancakes as well. So we'll have to wait and see. Oh, I've been told by IRL, who's just going to the pits and just give us a bit of an update. Rain in 10 minutes. Rain in 10 minutes, Tim.
So we were told a dry race, and now we're being told a wet race. So what exactly is going on up there?
I don't know, but we're going to have for a fantastic ending if we are. Speed Queen and Tidus. Speed Queen and Tidus are having a good battle. 2 in the bed moment. Come on! Come on, you want to make the move, you got to do it now! Speed Queen, go on, make the move on Tinnis. Unbelievable stuff, and Tinnis has just got ahead of Speed Queen. But remember, the hard tyres are not kicking off just yet, they're not kicked off. The medium tyres should be already kicking off a little bit now, but again, the hard tyres should be alright, to be fair, Tim.
It just amazes me, though, how abrasive this track seems to be and just how quickly it eats the tires, because we saw in the sprint race, Speed Queen 80, she started to have problems with the soft tires after about 6 laps or so, as we see Tinnis going a little bit wide there through turn 1. So, yeah, if you're having problems on soft tires after 6 laps, then what do you say, about 10 to 12 laps you might start having problems on the mediums, theoretically?
I would say the medium tyres should last about 14 laps, at least. The hard tyres should last about, say, 16 to 20 laps, at least, anyway. But it just depends on the setup, the way that the driver could be aggressive on track, could be damaging to the tyre wear. It's all those multiple factors that you need to consider. Yellow flag set to 2, I believe. I think that might be O'Steven again. Yeah, it is. It's O'Steven in 15th place, so he has just spun out just after that Esse's part as well. Reen says, let's say about 10 seconds, but again, they will be banning other people that haven't pitted on hards. Yeah, that's very true. But Nitrogash, we haven't mentioned about Nitrogash in this race so far, but he's pulling away from Melonade about 6.5 seconds nearly, so that is a good start for Nitro. But if I was him, Tim, on the mediums, I would try and pit on lap 11 or 12. That's what I would expect. The more that you do the undercut, the more chance that you've got a chance to get a good advantage. But make sure they don't undercut you as well, because if they do, you've got a bit of a problem, and make sure you don't get yourself caught with a battle. That's what we're seeing at the minute in the mid-pack as well, Tim.
And we have seen in the past how strong the undercut can be, but realistically, how much time do you think a driver could make up doing the undercut on Nitrogash?
So the pit stop lasts about 21 seconds, roughly about 21 seconds. So if Joe Amster's going to have a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. If Nitrogash pits now, he'll drop himself all the way down to 13th place. If it's like this so far, so he'll drop himself all the way down to 13th. But he will have the advantage, but he's going to have problems with that hard tyre near the end, should I say. I know I said 16 to 20 laps, but it just depends, as I said, it's just the multiple factors of the strategy and the tyre wear and the aggressive of the driver, how they build up to that momentum itself, so you never know. So Spud has got a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings too.
And that is a shame for Sir Spud. We see him running down there in the 17th position. Now remember, Sir Spud, he is still scoring points down there as long as he finishes the race, but he's looking for a little bit more than just the 17th position. All the same, he's just had a bit of a struggle today. We have been watching the battle brewing between Keza, Smoke, and Melonade, respectively. Melonade in 2nd, Smoke 3rd, Keza 4th in that McLaren, but it's still a bit of a DRS strain here between these 3 drivers. Melonade, of course, on the medium tire, so we expect him to start falling off here in a couple of laps. Smoke and Keza might start gaining some pace, but while these 3 drivers are battling out, Nitrogash still pulling away 7.6 seconds now, approximately, ahead of these drivers. Nitrogash really in a land of his own.
He is, and he needs to keep that momentum going. Doesn't make any silly mistakes now, because, to be fair, as I said earlier on, Nitrogash has been really unlucky with other drivers' mistakes, or like the positions that he was in, and could not get past some of the drivers who were really struggling, and defended really well, obviously, on some occasions. But Nitrogash has got a chance if he can try and pull away from Melonade, and it looks like Melonade's really struggling on those tyres, to be fair. But Smoke is not going to give him any more pressure. Oh my day, Smoke goes up ahead of Melonade. Just about, but can oh no, contact between Keza and Melonade. Keza tried to stop just after the end of the DRS zone, but unfortunately, because Keza just locked up a bit, caught up the back of Melonade, and dropped himself down to 7th place, Tim.
Yeah, and that's very similar to what we saw between the two Aston Martins in that same corner earlier on in the races. Now Keza has spun on his own. So the McLaren goes around, and, that is a very tricky corner as well, Malc.
It is. Unfortunately for Keza, he's dropped himself down like a domino effect now. I told you, Keza does well in the position that he gets in, and then unfortunately, when one mistake happens, he drops himself down to an unfortunate position. So now he's going to have to work himself to try and push on, but he had a great opportunity of a lifetime. Captain says, come on, Saab. Saab is in 5th at the minute. He's just doing his race. He's closing in on Darrell in 4th, while Darrell's trying to close the gap onto Russman. Those two drivers who have been unbelievable from the feed, that it just carried on from the sprint to the feature race, Tim.
And one thing I think that happened with Keza is when he had that contact there going into the corner, that must have just got him a little bit flustered, because you notice he had not set a foot wrong all day, along with Melonade and Smoke and Nitro Gash. Those 4 drivers just doing exactly what they needed to do. And then one little contact, and all of a sudden Keza has made a huge mistake. So it really just kind of threw him off of his rhythm. And like you said, Malc, he does such a great job at putting himself in position, as you see Daryl Whiffen going around Russman for the 3rd position. But Keza does a great job of putting himself in a good position to win a race or get a podium or get a solid finish. But a mistake always takes him out of contention, and it's you got to feel for him.
Oh, absolutely. I feel bad for Keza, because every week he wants to try and get that win, that elusive win, and he's trying everything he can. But unfortunately, when you make one mistake, it's the confidence. You'll lose that confidence, and hopefully, I'm hoping that's not going to kick him back throughout the rest of the race and for the rest of the season. It looks like Smoke is slowly catching up to Nitro Gash, but not as much. Matty's pitted really early though. Matty is doing the undercut. He's trying to do the undercut, but even though he was probably about 8... Oh my days, who's that? That was Dowell. Dowell lost the back end of that car, and he's kept going. Russman is really chasing him now. But yeah, the gap between Smoke and Nitro is 10.4 seconds, so you can't make any silly mistakes. But Matty will go long, 18 at least, 18 laps on those hard tyres, Tim.
So, Mal, we do keep watching the sky, and you can see the clouds starting to move in, the track getting a little bit darker in spots. It almost seems as though the rain might hit us around the time that the pit window starts to open for most of these drivers, whether that's the medium tire runners or the hard tire runners. So, at what point do you start to think about maybe staying out an extra lap or two on your first stint, hoping to catch the rain at the right time so you don't have to make 2 pit stops?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Oh, Russman! Russman made the move! Russman has made the move on 3rd. Dowell was trying to keep on the inside line. Oh my days! Brilliant stuff. Brilliant move there for Russman. Unbelievable stuff. Stuart says, any more news on the rain, gents? As far as I know, as far as I've been told, the rain will kick in 10 minutes. That was at 8:46. We're probably about 1 minute away, roughly, as an estimate. But the clouds are getting darker, Tim. The clouds are getting even darker than ever before, especially on the last sector, Tim.
And, we're likely going to be seeing it from the onboard of one of these drivers before we see it from the TV camera. So we'll try to stay on board with drivers as much as we possibly can so that we can keep an eye out on this rain. But you can definitely see going into turn 1, the dark clouds, the very ominous clouds. And the F1 games do get a lot of criticism, but I have to say the clouds and the artwork that they've done there, it is very beautiful. Just throwing that out there as you see Daryl Whiffen having a little bit of a moment through the S's, struggling to find the grip to keep up with Russman. Russman looking very stable through there, and now Sav right on the back of Daryl Whiffen. We haven't talked too much about Sav, but Sav, of course, picking up a win earlier in the season, and that was a long time coming for him, snapping a winless streak, and now he finds himself running in the 5th position. It may not have been the, set the world on fire season that Sav was hoping for, but getting that win early on and now being able to at least keep getting some consistent finishes and points finishes and have good runs is exactly what this driver needs. But now we got side by side with Russman and Daryl Whiffen. Russman going back by Daryl Whiffen, and Daryl was using the DRS to his advantage to get by Russman, but now Russman going back on the offensive. Daryl Whiffen, the short line around the corner, sees him clear Russman, but Russman does not let him get out of sight, and he goes back underneath him and gets the job done. Move Russman back up into P3.
Absolutely. It looks like Russman's trying to save his ERS. He's trying to save his ERS as much as possible. But Daryl is really frustrated. He wants to make this move done as quickly as possible, but they'll have the DRS. They'll have the DRS and try and use that offensive moment. I'm watching it from Sam's car point of view because I'm waiting to see when the rain's going to kick in. It looks like Daryl trying to make the move. He can't. Not yet. Russman holding on. Russman holding on for dear life, Tim.
Yeah, Russman, he is fighting for a lot today. Remember, it is very close in the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship, so it's a bit of a two-way battle going on in Russman's mind. Russman, of course, finds himself third in the Drivers' standings, and his team is just barely leading the Constructors' standings, that, of course, being Race Ventura Wind Detectors. But Daryl Whiffen having a very good run here, trying to get up to Russman, and he should be able to make advantage of the DRS down this straightaway. The question is, will he be able to get back by Russman? We saw him get by him a lap ago briefly, but Russman was able to take the position back, and Russman doing a good job there defending against Daryl Whiffen. Daryl does have a look on the inside, cannot make anything come of it.
No, absolutely. He's trying to wait for his move. Russman, you can see Russman's ERS is really trying to save as much as possible. But yeah, can't do anything about it at the minute. Still watching the battle for the top five. Smoke is trying to catch up to Nitrogash. I can't see any rain just yet, Tim. I cannot see any rain just yet, but I think we're getting close. I think we're getting close by the looks of things anyway, because the track is getting a little bit darker. That we normally when it rains, the track is getting a little bit darker, and when it does, it slowly builds up, and we could be in for a momentous achievement of the rain kicking in. But if Nitrogash wants to try and hold on with those medium tyres, he could have to try and manage it as best as he can. But at the moment, it doesn't look like the tyre wear for the mediums is going to go at any point, Tim.
Now, Malc, one thing I just noticed, switching subjects here a little bit, as we see Daryl Whiffen very close to the back of Russman. Look at Nitrogash. 14.1 second lead over Smoke. You said yourself, Malc, that the time in the pits here is approximately 21 seconds. Nitrogash has almost got him a free pit stop. Now, granted, there's not enough time for him to build up a gap to that big of a gap, but still, 14 seconds, very impressive.
Yeah, still very impressive at the minute, but again, anything could happen in any of the laps. So we'll have to wait and see how everything plans out in a minute. Looks like Russman trying to save that era. Daryl's using as much as possible. Going to go around the outside. Looks like the McLaren of Joe and Menade having a bit of a scrappy challenge moment just behind. But Russman is causing Daryl and Sab so much headaches. Galore. Oh! Daryl trying to make the move on the inside. Oh, brilliant move. No, he's told me off. Russman's told me off. He's saying, no, wait until we completely do the move. And I'll tell you what, Daryl, he's not happy. He had the chance to make the move, but Russman's saying, well, here you go. I'll let you have it for a brief moment. And now we've got probably got about 7 cars, Tim. 7 cars at least.
A huge DRS train here forming. And, you know, just in time for the rain to hit. It hasn't hit yet. We ride on board with Sab in the 5th position as he actually overshoots the corner a little bit there, but maybe actually helped him carry some speed on corner exit. All the same, we thought Sab was going off track for at least a moment.
Yeah, I thought he was going to lose out a moment, but he's trying to... Yeah, Reen says Daryl skidding on the track at almost every corner. That was a few laps ago. Must be riding a really low car. Yeah, hopefully it's not going to cause too much havoc for Daryl's sake as well. But at the minute, the clouds are getting even darker, Tim. The clouds are getting even darker. And I tell you what, I will not be surprised if the rain kicks in, starts to slowly start in the next few laps or so, Tim.
And I'm wondering just which part of the track we're going to see the rain first, as Daryl Whiffen had a huge run on Russman and gets the job done, but does not clear Russman going into the corner. And we've seen Russman be so strong at defending against these runs that Daryl Whiffen has built up. Daryl still cannot get by Russman.
I tell you what, these two will have so much words between them two, because Russman is absolutely loving this. Daryl will be fuming at Russman. Fuming! He wants to try and make this move, but he cannot do it at all. He cannot make the move. Nitro Gas, 16 seconds. Daryl has gone to the pits. Now this is going to be interesting. We're going to watch Daryl in the pits while you watch the battle so far, Tim.
So Russman hanging on to P3 now. Sab inherits the 4th spot after Daryl pits. Nitro Gash now has a 16.2 second lead over Smoke, and he is going long on those medium tires. Now Nitro Gash, he has led this entire race. He has had an opportunity. Is it raining? Yes, it is.
I saw the rain. It's spitted just at the exit of the pit and the pit exit. Melanade has gone for the inters. Melanade has gone for the inters. Poor Daryl, he's got himself in the mediums, just as when the rain is kicked in. But I do believe the intermediates are not ready yet, Tim.
No, they are not ready yet, and Melanade is going to find that out very quickly. The question is, though, will they be ready by the time Nitro Gash gets out of the pits? Because I don't see any other scenario. Nitro Gash has to pit, and he has to pit now for those intermediates. Yeah,
absolutely. DRS is disabled. DRS is disabled. Oh no, Joe! Joe spun! Joe has spun, and he's dropped himself down a few positions. The track is getting wet. The track is getting a little bit wet on some of the corners. So we're going to have Nitro Gas is done the right thing and should go on the intermediates. If it doesn't, do not make the mistake, mate. Please do not make that mistake. Smoke should be going to the pits. The rain is getting heavier. He's got to be careful not to cause any havoc trying to hit the wall. Yeah, so Smoke will go into the pits. Russman will go into the pits as well. So everyone should be going to the pits now. I feel bad for Daryl because he had the chance. But as soon as he came out, the rain just started. And I think that's just...
Oh, and now Keza's out.
Keza. Oh, Keza's crashed.
Is that a safety car or is it virtual?
Safety car, mate. Safety car.
All right. And that actually does not do any favors for Melanade, but I don't think it hurts him either. Granted, Melanade, we were talking about how it was too early for the intermediates. Actually, Melanade timed it perfectly, and by perfectly, I mean to the millisecond. I think he would have been somewhere knocking on the door of the top 3 if this had stayed green, because he's already right there behind Sab. So the track saturated a lot quicker than I expected, but it worked out tremendously for Melanade.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I take that back. I take that back, because the way it looked, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, and I'm sure you would agree with me on this, the track wasn't ready. It was just starting to spit of the rain. So the track needs to take a few laps before the rain actually filled it in. But yeah, intermediates, well, you can tell when they say DRS is disabled, you know that it's the rain, it will be kicking in. But I feel bad for Nitro Gas now, because he had that 18-second gap between himself and second place of Smoke. Now he's going to have to work his socks off again to produce that gap. But can he do it in the wets, though, in the intermediate situations? That's a big question of it all, Tim.
And we are just about ready to find out. Of course, we're going to have a decent amount of safety car laps to suffer through before then, but all the same, it'll be okay. It's just the race was going so great now.
It was going so great, but again, at the same time, we're going to love this wet race. The driver's not going to be happy because we're loving it because we like to see some more action-packed galore and see how these guys can capitalise in the wet conditions. Kessa says, I am stupid. My best Leclerc impression after what I've just done. Yeah, mate. I feel bad for you, but at the same time, I don't know what to say, mate. I couldn't say more. Stuart says safety car harsh on night. I did say that earlier on. He had a 19-second gap, and now, well, 18 to 19-second gap, and now he's going to have to work himself. Smoker, Rustman, and also Sab. Sab, from 10th to 4th, doing a great race at the minute. Rain says, what happened, Keza? Well, he hopefully he'll explain, but if not, he hit his car into the pit entry when he was trying to get into the pits. So that was when the rain was kicking in. 18 seconds lead, wiped out. Absolutely, Stuart, absolutely. Rain says, these things, this brings both the Aston Martins who had that contact way early on back in contention. In contention. I couldn't say the words though. But yeah, absolutely. I do believe that. But again, if they didn't have that contact earlier on, Tim, they would have been a little bit higher up, especially due to Tiger, who's banning out with the drivers at least. I feel bad for him at the minute.
Yeah, I really feel bad for Nitro Cash too, because it was such a huge lead, and it's gone. Now, that does help Smoke, of course, and Rustman. They're all in a drivers championship battle. Melanade had that incident just a few laps ago on track that saw him spun around, but he finds himself back in the 5th position. So he's going to be able to theoretically recover and have a decent day. And remember, Melanade was leading the points coming into this race, so that decent day can go a very long way in that championship.
Oh, absolutely. And I forgot to mention, actually, Michael had that unfortunate bad race in the sprint. He's supposed to have it to 9th, so 9 positions, biggest mover of the feature race itself. But also, Tinnis from 14th to 6th, good move as well. And as I said, Sab from 10th to 4th, that is a good move. Same as some boy from 13th to 7th. So, yeah, some good positions, but the baddest one is Ginger Tiger from 7th to 14th, unfortunately. So, mad seas, but we will have the safety car in at least, possibly, I might say this lap, depending on if Sunspoke can catch up to the guys ahead. Just have to wait and see how we plan out at the moment. But yeah, I think we're gonna have another classic finale. I'm hoping that we're not going to see any dramatic endings of the safety car itself, like it happened a few weeks ago in the F3 race at the French Grand Prix. Hopefully not, but we have to wait and see how everything plans out. But Melanade, a stroke of genius for Melanade, to be fair. But his only best position was 4th in the sprint, but he's dropped himself down to 5th, obviously. But that's still a stroke of genius to get into the wets intermediates as quickly as possible. Tim.
And you know, with Melanade, I think that he would have made up more positions had it stayed green, but when we remember how big Nitro Gash's lead was, this safety car really was the best case scenario for Melanade, because it was a bit of a blessing in disguise, I guess you could say, because yeah, he did lose out on picking up 1 or 2 extra positions on the front straightaway when the safety car came out, but now he finds himself about a second or so behind Nitro Gash instead of 20 seconds or more.
Oh, absolutely. It's just rotter luck, to be fair. And sometimes the luck will get onto you, and you'll be really lucky as well. But at the same time, you have to take it to the chin and just hope for the best, and just hope that they can get through as quickly as possible. But at the moment, I'm hoping Nitrogash will bounce back. I'm hoping Nitrogash will bounce back and get a good result tonight after the issues that he's had this season, not only in the performance league but also in F3. But hopefully this will be a catalyst for him to kickstart the rest of the races itself, if it stays like this, obviously.
So hoping the safety car comes in this lap. Theoretically, it should. Everyone has caught the safety car cue, so that will give us 8 laps of racing. And it's going to be a wet one, as you can see. So no, yeah, no worrying about the tires anymore. As long as you've got the intermediates on, you are okay. You have just got to worry about your track position and worry about these last few laps of the race. Nitrogash will be the control car. He gets to decide when we go back racing, as long as it's before the start-finish line. That is, of course, as soon as that safety car pulls off the track.
Yeah, absolutely. The safety car will come in as soon as it goes past after the second sector into the third. That's what they normally do. But sometimes we've seen the safety cars come in really, really late, out of the blue. But in this situation, everyone's all in the line itself, so we should be seeing the safety car coming in this lap. So we will have, unless I'm mistaken here, I know the rain's still kicking in, but it's, unless on some part of the track, it's just not as much for the intermediates to kick in. But again, it just depends on how Nitrogash now. Nitrogash needs to hold on, needs to build up the pack, just bunch the cars up together, and he needs to get a good start. He can't afford to make a mistake. He can't afford to make a mistake, Tim.
And we're about to find out who has got the quicker car here in the wet, Nitrogash or Smoke, or is it someone else behind him? Nitrogash, the control car, riding on board with Smoke to see what kind of a jump Nitrogash is going to get. He's going to have to be very, very careful on this restart. I mean, it's hard enough to do a restart in these cars in the dry. Well, when you got water on the track, it just throws another monkey wrench into the works. But here we go, 8 laps of racing coming your way now. Nitrogash gets a decent start, but Smoke hangs with him. But they both struggle for grip through that final corner, and we are green, green, green.
Oh! Green, 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 and Nitrogash has pulled away. Nitrogash has pulled away by 7 tenths. Smoke and Rustman, they're both teammates that trying to push on as quickly as possible. They're absolutely mad scenes, to be fair. So see what they can try and do through the section itself, but hopefully there's not going to be any issues. But let's try to go through the S's. The S's part's going to be really tricky, especially in the wet conditions itself. We've got Sunboy and Joe Amster having a bit of a scrappy challenge moment in 7th and 8th. But yeah, Tim, unbelievable start at the Invictus Racing League after the safety car.
And we actually saw Joe Hamster go a little bit wide out of turn number 1, so we switched back to him. He has been able to get the car back under control, and like you said, trying to get chased to Sunboy here. Michael Luke thought he might have had a run on him, but you saw Michael actually lose a little bit of grip in the back end as well. And you know, that's really just the nature that you have to struggle, is you now see Joe Hamster with a run on the outside of Sunboy. He might be able to get that work done at the end of the straightaway. Does he clear him, though, as we ride on board with the Haas? Yes, Joe Hamster does get by Sunboy, and you know, that is another added dynamic in the rain, is you can get the power down and, well, you just don't go anywhere because it's wet and the track is slick and your tires spin. It's so difficult. Just because these are wet weather tires doesn't mean they have grip like the slicks would on a dry track. It is still very much you racing in the rain, and it's hard to hang on to those cars.
Absolutely, and I saw a great battle between the Aston Martins at the back of the grid, or nearest the back of the grid. So Palmer, GT Tiger, there were scrappy challenge moments in the intermediate conditions, and Simon Palmer done the greatest move he has ever done. He went onto the inside of GT Tiger and made the move into 13th. So at the moment he's chasing Matty for 12th.
And while we've been watching the battle through the pack, the battle for the lead is not really much of one. Smoke 1.5 seconds behind Nitrogash. Rustman, Smoke's teammate, right on the back of him. Now, the AlphaTauri versus the Haas, like you said, Malc, this is, more or less going to be about the same car. I think the AlphaTauri might be slightly better than the Haas, but these are, very similar pace drivers, and they are teammates, so they work very well together. So it makes sense that they're going to be put in a similar paced car. But doesn't matter what car they're in, they are running in the podium positions right now. They're not winning the race, but they're in the second best spots.
Oh, absolutely, and we got a bit of contact. Oh my days, where did that come from? Didn't Tiger make the move on the inside line? Out of nowhere. This is a great battle. Matty trying to make the move on. This is what happened, Tim. Matty trying to make the move on the inside of Speed Queen. Lost momentum. Bit of contact between them two. We've got a 2 in a bed moment now. Jim Tiger out of nowhere trying to make the move, and he does get himself into 11th place. Darrell Whiffen moves up to 9th. Simon Palmer drops down to 13. Matthew moves up to 12th. But yeah, while that was going on, the two Aston Martins, Simon Palmer, I was watching him from his car. Oh, he got caught. Oh no! Contact between the two Aston Martins. That will have to be checked by stewards. But they're still racing at the minute, Tim.
And you know, sometimes I really do not envy the steward's job at Invictus. Hats off to all of our stewards in every division, not just the RP League, because they don't get paid. They do this just because they love the league. And, you know, sometimes it can definitely get tiresome, I'm sure, having to read all the stewards' inquiries. But Darrell Whiffen thought about having a look on Sunboy going into turn number 1, thought better of it, and with no grip out there on that racetrack, that was definitely a wise choice from the Alpine driver. Still no change up at the front. Nitro Gas, Smoke, and Rustman lap 23 of 28 in the closing stages of this very wet race now. Look at Sab, though, hanging on to the 4th spot.
Sab in 4th for Michael. Interestingly, the rain has slowly stopped. There's still bits on certain parts of the track, but Michael, look at Michael. He is gambling on the softs. I think that's a bad move. I think he's trying to make something out of it, but I think that's a bad move because the track is still wet. And it looks like Darrell's trying to make the move. Oh, side-by-side moments between himself and Sunboy. And made the move into 8th place. That's a good move. But I do believe Michael... Oh, no, Michael. Bad move into the softs, Tim.
Yeah, very bad move. And I feel like that really was not Michael's choice, because you are right, Malc. It is starting to stop raining. My goodness, what a choice of words. It's starting to stop raining. But no, the rain is starting to let up a little bit. And I understand why going on the softs might come across your mind, but you still have to use your eyes. And the track is very wet, so I don't see Michael making that mistake. I do believe that was more so an unintentional mistake that was made.
Yeah, I think, well, time will tell. Steve has finally got himself into the pits. But yeah, the track, as you can see, the track is still wet. There's bits of rain, but it's died off from what it was earlier on in the last few laps ago. So I'm quite worried and interested to see what they thought of with the softs to go on to. But you can tell from Michael's point of view, the timing is not catching up at all. Unless we've been told differently, but the track is not ready for drying compounds itself. So unless they know something that we don't, Tim, I think those are bad moves for Stephen and Michael.
Yeah, and the fact that 2 drivers now have went on the soft compounds does tell me that they are expecting the track to dry up before the end of the race, and you can see it is starting to dry up a little bit, but it is still very much a wet track, and it is intermediate conditions all the way. Now, I understand if you're running in the back, you might as well try something because it might work for you, but if you look at the time interval, Steven and Michael, they are not really gaining anything at all on the drivers ahead of them. And in fact, Steven is just retired from the session. He's wrecked out. So that answers the question on how Steven is going to do on those soft compound tires. And it looks like we are under a safety car.
We've got a safety car. Sorry, Tim. Simon Palmer has got himself ahead of Matty. Now, that was close for the safety car moment, because I think the safety car come in. Unless I'm mistaken, Joe's pitting, Darrell's pitting. I think we might be... The track is stopped. The rain has stopped now. The rain has stopped. It looks like slowly... yeah, so it looks like the track is getting a little bit better now. And look at that, James. I think the drivers are gambling now, Tim.
Yeah,
but that's just shocking.
That's exactly what they're doing, Malc. But you know what? I actually do like this call, because we are going to see at least 2 laps minimum under this safety car. That's traditionally what we see with the safety car periods. 2 to 3 laps. With it being close to the end of the race, they might cut it at 2. All the same, you might as well take the gamble if you're running mid-pack to the back of the pack, because if it turns out to be the right choice, you can make up a lot of ground, and it's looking like it's almost an even split between the field, very close anyway, between intermediates and soft compound tires. Now the big question is, once we come back around to the pits, are the top 8 or so going to decide to go onto the soft compound tires? And if they do, that changes the dynamic of this race. That would put Joe Hamster, Daryl Whiffen, and Sunboy theoretically in your top 3 spots if the top 8 pit here. And you got to think, you don't want to give up track position, especially this close to the end of the race. But if the track is going to be dry weather conditions by the time we go back green, then you just cannot make those intermediates work. It doesn't matter how quick you are.
Yeah, so it's mad. Oh, Stevens just had enough. I don't know what happened with the car that he was in. Rain says the game's deleting the clouds. I just saw it. Yeah, the clouds are getting a little bit open up a little bit, but looking at the track, I can't see any wet splashing from the.
And here we go, Malc. They're pitting. They're pitting. Also, Reams, go ahead and timestamp that for me because I want to watch it back. But they are pitting except for Nitro Gash Melonade, Tennis, Sir Spud. 4 drivers staying out on the intermediates, everyone else going onto the soft compound tire. And you know, Malc, it's funny. I asked you at the beginning of the race, what scenario do you see drivers going on the soft compound tires, if any, beyond a safety car within the last 4 laps? And look what we got.
Yeah, well, you are deadly right. I did say, if you want to go for the safety car, if it's near the end, I would go for the softs, because they're only going to last about 10 laps. I feel bad. Right, Nigel Gash, Melonade, Tinnis and Sir Spud, they have got to be at their championship mode best, because they're going to be sitting ducks. Everyone, except for them top 4, they're all on the soft tyres. They're all on the soft tyres. Oh, Stephen saying medium traction, that's what? I'm sorry, mate. I'm so sorry. But it's not my call about the medium traction. You have to speak. That's a joke. Rain says Nitro's going to be a sitting duck. Well, the track is bone dry. Yeah, the track. Oh my God, the track is bone dry, Tim. The track is bone dry. Oh my God.
Malc, I think we are in for one of the most characteristic restarts that we have ever commentated on in the Invictus Racing League. It is going to be, if I've done my math correctly, and look at that safety car coming in this lap, which means I have, it's going to be 2-lap shootout. A 2-lap shootout, and the top 4 cars are on intermediate tires. And then the rest of the field are on softs. I don't see any scenario that sees Nitro Gash, Melonade, Tennis, or Sir Spud finishing in the top 3, but my goodness, you know they're gonna try. Melonade P2, Nitro Gash P1. Nitro Gash will be the control car. He gets to decide when we go back racing. And look, Malc, it's actually starting to rain a little bit again. There are some drops on the onboard of Melonade, so maybe, just maybe, they're gonna be okay. But yet again, I think that they're going to be sitting ducks. We are green, green, green. 2 more laps to go in the United States Grand Prix.
They're gone now. Darren Refrin is trying to make the move on to Joe Hamster on for 5th place. Oh my God! Oof, Jesus! Unbelievable bonsai moments. Unbelievable. And they're still battling now. Oh my God! Looks like somebody made the move into 5th. So Spud is a sitting duck. Dowell's trying to put the pressure on Tinnis for 3rd place. Oh my God, yellow flags. It looks like Jitty Tiger and Michael.
It's Sab.
Sab's out. Sab is out of the race.
And look at Daryl. Look at Daryl. He's looking underneath of Tennis. Tennis is not letting him by. But I think that Daryl could be a shoe-in to win this race. But let's not forget about Sunboy as Daryl makes some contact with Tennis going into the corner. And there's not going to be any DRS to the end of this race. This is going to have to be pure raw pace, as we've still got cars spinning in the back.
Oh my God, we could have a manic finish. Oh my God, Dowell, come on! Come on! You want to make a move? You got to do it now! You got to do it now! Tinas is holding on! Tinas is holding on for dear life! Go on! Go on! Go on, my son! Come on! You got to make the move! Oh, Darrow's got the move into third! Oh my god! Nitrogas will be pouring with sweat. Melanie will be pouring even more sweat now because Darrow is going to be under a lot of pressure. Sorry, Melanie is going to be under a lot of pressure. I don't even know what's going to happen next, Tim.
And it's the last lap coming up here soon. And there goes Daryl Whiffen looking underneath of Melanie. Daryl Whiffen takes the second spot. And now it's going to be the last lap. But it's going to be 2 seconds between Nitro Gash and Daryl Whiffen. Nitro Gash on the intermediate tires. Daryl Whiffen on the soft compound tires. Daryl Whiffen, he has got the speed. He has got the compound advantage. He's got a dry racetrack. And he has got all the determination in the world. But does he have enough time? The one dang thing that he needs to be on his side right now. Nitro Gash, the gap now is just over 1.1 seconds.
Remember,
I don't think Nitro Gash is going to have enough, but this is going to be a very interesting battle down the straightaway if, and I do mean if, Nitro Gash can somehow, some way hold on to the lead down the straightaway. He might stand a chance of winning this race, but I don't think that's going to happen. Daryl Whiffen right up to the back of Nitro Gash, makes the move into the corner and goes around him on those soft compound tires. Nitro Gash going to try to chase Daryl Whiffen back, but he has got absolutely nothing for him. The tire disadvantage is just too great. Nitro Gash, he can do nothing but watch as the Alpine slips out of his grips. He can just try to hang on, but look at the time penalties, though. That is going to be the one thing that might keep Daryl from winning this race. Here is your time penalties, 6 seconds for Daryl Whiffen. Is there enough time for him to build up that much of a gap in just this third and final sector when the driver behind him has got intermediate tires? I don't think it's going to be enough. Daryl Whiffen not going to be able to win this race, but is it going to be Nitro Gash that gets the win anyway? Unfortunate for Daryl Whiffen that the time penalty has came back to bite him, but it was still a valiant effort as he comes out of the final quarter. He wins on track. But it's Nitro Gash that's going to take it from him after the time penalties.
Nitro Gash has won. Simon Palmer moves up to second. Daryl holding on for third. What is going on? What a race! What an unbelievable race! There was a crash. Benedict crashed at the second from last corner. That will have to be checked by stewards. But what a race! What a race!
And I just want to say now, Nitro Gash just won this race on intermediate tires when it's dry. Now, I know Daryl Whiffen had a time penalty, and that is why Nitro Gash won it, but when have we ever seen a driver win a race on intermediate tires in the dry? I think this is a first for us. We have seen a wet race ran on slicks. Now we have seen a dry race won on intermediates.
Absolutely, and it's been a stallion effort from Nitro Gash. I did feel sorry for him because some of the drivers pitted when the safety car was still going through just before the last corner. So absolutely mad, to be fair. So well done to Nitro Gash, an unbelievable drive. Well done also to I'm trying to remember now for the top three finishes. Sorry, I'm just still gobsmacked, to be fair. Daryl, it's just been unbelievable stuff, to be fair. Nitro Gash, Simon Palmer, the reserve driver, finished off in second. Daryl in third. Unbelievable stuff. Team I lead in the race classification.
And your officially unofficial results pending any steward inquiries for the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance United States Grand Prix. As I clicked off the screen again, Malc, and I apologize, but we do have that on the stream at least, so we will have to go back. For whatever reason, 2 weeks in a row now, I just have trouble with that screen, so...
It's alright. So just a reminder, guys, if you just missed out, I'll blame you for that one, mate, to be fair.
I'm kicking myself.
Yeah, so ERA race classification for the Invictus Racing League, the Readers Performance League on the PlayStation platform. Nitro Gash is your winner in the race in first place. Simon Palmer in second, Daryl in third, Russ Mann in fourth, Matty in fifth, Smoke sixth, Speed Queen seventh, Ginger Tiger eighth, Michael ninth, ARL 10th, Joe Amster 11th, Sunboy 12th, Tinus 13th, Spud 14th, Melanade 15th, Sab Sorry, Melanade, Sab, O'Steven, and Keza, they've all had the casualties in that race. I will have to mention the top 8 of the sprint because we haven't got much time. Nitrogash get the first place, then Smoke, then Keza, then Melanade, then Russman, then Daryl, then Jitiger, then Speed Queen in that top 8 of the feature race as well. And I tell you what, we'll have to get Nitrogash in because we've got the 2 drivers in from the frantic finale. It was like French Grand Prix all over again for the F3 drivers itself. But I tell you what, tonight that just topped it all off for Invictus Racing League. That was one hell of a race. I'm hoping yeah, there we go. We've got Nitrogash joining in now. So before you say anything, guys, please make sure you allow voice to be shared. It's set to always allow. If you're not sure how to do it, go to the party settings. There's an allow voice to be shared. Make sure it's set to always allow. So while the guys are getting themselves set up and ready to go, I'll just read some of the comments. Stuart says Nigel could have been robbed tonight. Could have raced any better. Well, he did a still of a job, and I'm sure Tim will ask the questions about that as well. Reed says, okay, that was quite beeping crazy. Absolutely, to be fair. Steven says absolute racing, shocking. Well, that'll have to be checked by the stewards. Yeah, so we have to wait and see how everything plans are. But yeah, unbelievable stuff. So we got Nitrogash, unbelievable stuff. We got Nitrogash, we got Simon Palmer, and we got Darryl joining. You guys all set, ready to go?
Yes, mate.
Yeah, all good.
Cool. So all top 3 drivers are all set, ready to go in the commentators box. So Tim, I'll let you do the honours of the questions.
And we'll start with Nitrogash. So Nitro, Malc and I were talking about it. I think that this is an Invictus Racing League first to have won a dry race on intermediate tires. All the same, you were able to do it. Walk us through how you were able to have so much pace today and just how crazy the rain made your race, and at what point did you start to question your potential victory?
I don't know. Last night I had a really horrible race, and I just sort of had a bit of practice before this one and changed a couple of things. Obviously having the Red Bull helps, but yeah, I didn't I didn't even look at the weather at the start, so I was looking at the race director and thinking, why is everybody going hard? And then as I started off, it was like, oh, rain expected in 15 minutes, and I was like, oh yeah, well, okay, that makes sense now. So then it was just a case of hanging on the softs. I was doing all right. The tyre wear wasn't too bad. So when I pitted, I was like, great, I've got 15, 16 second lead, whatever. I'll just cruise in the wet. I don't need to push, and then safety car. And then another safety car, and and then at the end, I was in 2 minds whether to pit or not because it was telling me it was time for dries, and then obviously everybody pitted behind me, and I'd gone past the line, so I didn't really want to cut in. And then it was just hanging on at the end. I saw Darryl coming. I knew he got a penalty, so I thought, well, I won't hold him up. I'll just try and stick with him. But yeah, the last lap was really tough. It was really slidey, but. Yeah, I just want to. I mean, it's first win for a long time. This one, first win on this game. So, just want to say this is for my mate Stu, who's having a rough time of it at the minute. He's a good lad, and he's usually here being my race engineer, telling me when to pit and telling me when not to pit. So this one's for him.
Well, we certainly wish him the best in whatever problems that he's dealing with, and hopes that it has a positive resolution as soon as possible. But all the same, congratulations on your win tonight, Nitrogash. We will go and talk to our second place finisher of Simon Palmer. Now, Simon, I'd say at the beginning of the race, it almost seemed as though you did not expect to be on the podium. You had an incident there with the other Aston Martin, and now you find yourself in second. So how did it turn from disaster to a podium? Well, congratulations, Simon, on your second place finish. It was definitely impressive to watch. And now we'll talk to Daryl Whiffen in P3. So, Daryl, you won on track. Time penalty, sadly, putting you back to P3. But why do you think you were not able to gain as quickly on Nitro Gash in the opening laps after the restart? Was the track still a little bit wet, or do you just simply think there was not enough time?
I think it was just it got a little bit held up. With a few guys in front had the inters on still, so obviously just a bit wary. They're breaking different points of you and a bit slower. So it was just making sure that I didn't spin it really. I didn't even think I was going to get anywhere near him or be near the podium, to be honest, because I had the 6-second penalty. So yeah, it was a bit of a surprise in the end, but I'll take it.
Hey, and we actually forgot that you had that penalty, but you still did a very fantastic drive to get into the top spot, and one more lap, you might be the winner, but all the same, third place, a good run by you. Congratulations.
Yep, appreciate it. Thanks.
And with that, that is all the time that we have. But thank you all so much for those who watched. Thank you to all the drivers that raced with us. Congratulations to our podium finishers. This has been the Invictus Racing League's PlayStation Performance League United States Grand Prix, brought to you in partnership with GridFinder.com. Until next time, have fun and goodbye.
See you later.